You're now listening to The Real.
Man, I appreciate them dudes for talking about
The Raw.
Wait, they were talking about
The Relatable.
That's exactly what I've been going through.
The Relentlessly Real Podcast.
Welcome to the Relentlessly Real Podcast, where we discuss real, raw, and relatable topics. Thank you for taking time to listen to our podcast today. Let's kick this off with some introductions. I guess we're going to go ahead and include our wives in this too, because they are literally sitting right here next to us. My name is John.
Jovita.
My name's Mike.
Renee.
And as always, I am Terrence.
And I am Tanisha.
Yeah, that would have been really smooth if Terrence ended it. I don't know why. You're still Terrence, though. You're still Terrence.
I am still Terrence.
Yeah, thank God for that.
So as you guys can see, this is a very, very special podcast episode. We have our wives and we have our kids sitting here with us on this broadcast today, and we are very excited to jump into some topics. But before we do any of that, I actually had to ask. We asked this question to the men on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I want to ask the wives this question. So it's good that you guys are already in place. Is there an amount of money that someone can pay you for you to allow your husband to have? And okay, let me just say it.
Let's flip it.
Let me just say this real quick. I'm going to say SEX because I have kids. So SEX for the rest of this podcast is going to be called color. Okay? SEX for the rest of this podcast will be called color. All right? Everybody on the same page?
Got it.
SEX is color. All right? Everybody on a live. SEX is color. So will you allow somebody else to color with your husband for an amount of money that's like undescribable, like 5 million, 10 million, 50 million? Will you allow your husband one night with another woman for like $50 million? And I could see facial expressions. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna let Tanisha go first.
Terrence ain't having no color with nobody but Tanisha Nicole Robinson. End of story.
That same sentence, but replace Tanisha with Renee and replace Terrence with Mike.
But we talking about like your future bills, like, you know, all your
You could go to Disney World.
Renee's face
Unlimited.
like so.
I'm too crazy. Yeah, okay.
I'm telling you. All right. Well, that was actually all the answers were the same. I thought that, maybe some of y'all might have changed, but apparently you guys don't want nobody having relations with your man. I get that.
Well, what is that going to do for me, allowing my husband to color with somebody else?
Well, if someone else colors with them, then you get $50 million. $50 million to buy whatever you want, go wherever you want, do whatever you want. Unlimited amount of money.
$50 million plus regret. Plus I'm angry that I did that. Like, it ain't worth it.
You invested in your child's future.
First of all, I did it for us. I did it. I didn't want to do that. I did it for us. This is about family. Together.
See, the way my mind works, then I'm going to be wondering, well, what you do for her? How long did you? What was happening?
Right. Oh, what happened was.
What was the details of the color? Oh, okay.
The details of the color. I like that.
Did you? It's
color outside.
It will lead you.
I actually kind of want to know what that even means. Like, what did we mean?
Flashback to Indecent Proposal. It's a classic movie right there.
That is the funniest thing, that she color outside.
That's great.
But then she needs to know that this coloring is not happening again. So it's just too much to it, because then you got
She might go double or nothing. Like she might
but then we gotta fight.
Everybody, please understand. Coloring or to color means SEX. Okay, we have little children listening, and from this point forward, throughout the podcast, I went ahead and pinned it on Facebook that color and SEX are synonymous right now. Okay, so hopefully, for Valentine's Day, some people can be coloring. All right, I ain't gonna say, hey.
Yo, Brian is Jai Sleeper. He said, coloring is fun if it's not with Crayola, and I'm married Crayola. That's right.
Hilarious. That's hilarious. So you guys know that we have added some new segments to the podcast, and so with that in mind, we have our boy T to let us know what's going on in Netflix and chill. So T, what's T watching on Netflix and chill?
All right, so I got to give all credit to credit's due. I'm going to give y'all 3 movies. One that you should absolutely skip, and I know John has seen this as well. He's going to back me up. And so the first movie that I'm going to tell you to actually just move on to the next flick definitely is the Denzel's movie, The Little Thing. It's Black History Month. I'm trying to highlight some film starring black actors and black directors and black writers. But that movie, that Denzel movie, nah, fam, that wasn't it. That's not that. Am I right, John? That movie was just.
It was really awful, actually.
It was some trash. And it's not his fault. His performance was great, and the actors were great, but the movie was just, you can just go to the next one. Don't even waste your. You're gonna sit back and you're gonna be up for 2 hours and be like, why did I waste my time? So just go on to the next one.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
I agree. All right. So the other one I was trying to avoid because I knew it was toxic and I saw all the comments was Malcolm and Marie. And I will say, I have to admit that I happily enjoyed Malcolm and Marie.
No spoilers.
It gets a 5 out of 5 for me, to be honest.
Let's talk for a second. All the rife and bickering and stuff that you gave prior to.
I did. I was bad, and
I'm not watching it. It's probably going to be trash. I ain't interested whatsoever.
I was going so hard too, but I was just like, if you like this movie, you toxic too. This is some trash. I was literally prejudging this movie, and then like Tanisha didn't. And Mike, I'm gonna shade her real quick. You did a better job selling it than she did. She was not selling this movie. She was like, because this is about what black people need to go through, and the movie. I'm like, I'm not watching them argue about what black people. And I'm like, what is this movie? I don't want to watch it. I definitely don't watch it now. So I'm shading. But she was like, nah, babe, you gotta watch it. And then Mike came up like, were these two talking? Like somehow.
Oh, we at the same time.
Listen, I was. This was like after work, and I was like had some leftover work to do. I couldn't finish my emails. Like I was like. I had to close my computer. It was like I am really engrossed into this movie. Like, they still going.
I hope your employer's not looking at this actual podcast, right?
I hope so. So if you have not seen Malcolm and Marie, I will happily say you will either be one of the people who absolutely love it or hate it. It's kind of split between crowds. You'll either absolutely love it or you'll hate it. But I absolutely enjoyed it. Give them Bammers an Emmy or me an Oscar right now. I thought their performances were stellar. It's like solid.
Same here. I enjoyed, and this is exactly what I told you, T. Like I enjoyed the art of the movie. Mm-hmm. You definitely saw them perform as actors, like top of their game right now. I really appreciated watching it. I think the hard part for me, and spoiler alert, I guess for folks, hard part for me was just all the different, like the toxic situation that they were going through, man, back and forth for like 2 hours. Like that was a lot. Mm-hmm. The moments when I'm looking over Renee was like, what are we doing? Like, what?
But it was like hard to turn off. But it was like basically years of a marriage in like 2 hours. And it was interesting.
It was real. Like, but I'm not saying it's a good thing. Since you gotta watch it, I don't want to spoil, but I'm not saying it's a good thing. But I've seen this like play out, like, and it's really good. It's a really good movie.
I agree, but I don't want to do like a spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't.
You should watch it before you. Don't be like me. Don't be like T and prejudge it. You should watch it and then give your opinion after you watch it. That's all I'm gonna say.
But if you're in a bad mood and you don't have the patience for it, don't watch it in that moment.
Don't do it.
You said it was 3, T. Was that the third one?
So American Skin. If you've not got a chance to watch American Skin, I mean, it's Black History Month, so I definitely want to highlight that one. That movie was really good. It's a fresh take on the whole Black Lives Matter police brutality. It came out. I want to be about a couple of weeks ago, so it's a little old. Some of you might have seen it, but it's a really, really, really good movie. I liked it. So American Skin. So skip the Denzel, watch Malcolm and Marie, watch American Skin, and we'll talk about what's it that came out last night. Judas and the Black Messiah came out last night. So check that one out as well.
Yes,
I really want to see that for us.
Yep.
Dope. Love it. Love it. So I want to talk real quick. We're going to breeze through a couple of trending topics, then we're going to hop right into some marital things. So look, did y'all watch that daggone Super Bowl?
Yeah.
We got to talk a second about how whack, terrible. I went to the Robinson household and watched that bowl, and I was upset that I drove because they live in Kenya. And so I drove, and then
Tom Post. We live in the uttermost part of the earth. Tom Post.
When I tell you, I'm just gonna say I had an hour and a half into that drive, which I still wasn't there yet. I was like, you know what, maybe this is not worth it. But it wasn't. I got there and the Super Bowl was trash. So and on top of that, the halftime show, your boy
was garbage.
Mr. Weekend. It was just not good. What are y'all thoughts? Were y'all happy about it? And wives can talk to you.
Well, you already know I bashed that halftime show.
Yeah, I was bored. I think I went to go do some things during halftime. I was like, I'm bored, and so I left.
Thanks. Yeah.
We was watching a movie. You already know.
We were actually watching Coming to America. You know, getting ready for that next jump that's coming out. You know, another little plug, Terrence. You know, what is it? Coming to America 2.
Yeah.
You know, coming out what, in March?
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes out everything comes out in March. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had to, you know, catch up from the jump back, and what that came out like in the late 80s. I think that came out like 89, 88 or something like that. Yeah. That was hilarious. That was better than the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
And actually, funny enough, speaking of the halftime show, you guys know Justin Timberlake apologized to Janet Jackson and Britney Spears.
Yeah, I was reading it, explain like what does he apologize? I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm just trying to figure out what is he apologizing for? Like,
so I don't want to be a spoiler either. There's a I forget what it's called, the Britney Spears new
documentary
that just came out with Britney Spears. I'm not gonna spoil it for everybody because it's a whole thing. But within that thing, it's basically when you know how he came out with Cry Me a River and all that stuff. It made it seem as though Britney Spears cheated on him and all this stuff, and apparently that wasn't true. But he like basically used all of that negative energy to kind of jumpstart his career and didn't really say no different. And he was just like, I'm gonna live off this wave and keep making money. And he did. And so now he's saying, I regret it. I'm so sorry. It was so misogynistic of me and all this other stuff. And I'm like,
so she didn't cheat.
She not according to him.
Okay.
And based on like if I didn't read anything, if I didn't, you know, read up on their lives and stuff like that, I would have took that song for face value and like, dang, she must have really messed up.
Yeah, no, he didn't. I mean, she didn't. And it looked like she did, but it wasn't nothing like that. And he apologized for Janet because the same difference. You know, Janet, you know, he did the little thing in the middle of the show.
Yeah, the little boot.
All the kids was like, ooh, mommy, what's that? You know what I mean? So it was a little weird. But he apologized for that jump. So I thought that was funny. Also, Gorilla Glue. I'm sorry, go ahead, T.
I just felt like but all three of their careers, I mean, I got to see the documentary because she was even more famous after that. It's not like she like went to the toilet after the incident. She got really famous, even more famous.
People were like, they were like slut shaming her. You know, like
got you.
Had all the like teen girl fans from NSYNC, and you know it was just not a good look for her.
Especially if he lied about it.
Yeah.
Which he did.
And we all know what happened to Janet Jackson's career, like the mainstream career after the Super Bowl. So.
I still like Janet. I liked her more after that, actually.
She still had tours.
her mainstream career was
she just couldn't do no Super Bowl, and then he got a chance to do another Super Bowl.
Could not do no Super Bowl.
But he got a chance to do one, and it was like it's not fair. So
yo, y'all want to hear something funny though? So when that happened, I still remember that moment, like the Super Bowl when the little pop out situation happened, right?
Why I gotta keep going like that?
So what happened was I was at my man's house, Marcus. So I was at Marcus' house. And we were all watching it in his basement. And I think I went upstairs to like grab some more snacks or something like that. And all I hear is, oh! I went out there, what happened? She saw it on there. So what? I missed it. I was
Mike Maddie.
I know. In high school. That's what we was thinking about, right? In high school. Crazy. But anyway.
Other thing, a couple more trending things I want to hit, and then we're gonna go into some questions with y'all because that's gonna be the hot part. I can tell you that right now. Also, Dave Chappelle dropped this thing that's it's called Redemption on YouTube. Did you guys get a chance to check it out?
I actually was watching it while I was driving back.
Okay, so that's not okay to say, but at the same time, I'm in the vehicle and watching a video.
It was docked. I was listening like a listening.
Oh,
watch,
okay, listening to it. Okay, basically everything that Dave Chappelle said, in terms of like, yo, I need y'all to fight for me. I don't get my own rights to my own material, basically, and doesn't get paid for it. So he asked the consumer, direct to consumer, like, stop watching my show on these different platforms. People actually did it. And then they started seeing the revenue go down. And the next thing you know, he's able now, if you check out the redemption thing on YouTube, he talks about like, thank you to all the consumers that said, hey man, y'all did that for me. And now I don't have to like fight for my name or my name in perpetuity or something like that. Like I don't have to fight for that anymore. Now I get to basically he gets his rights to his Dave Chappelle show. He gets paid for it. All that stuff off the strength of him making that earlier claim in the year. So I was like, big ups to Dave Chappelle for that move. One of the smartest moves I've ever seen.
Yeah, and big ups to the people like his followers and stuff like that too. People that really supported him for not just his craft, but just like being a person, man. Like putting themselves in his shoes. Like, yo, this was me. Like I would want the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, 100%, man. So I felt like that was dope. Real quick on 2 Gorilla Glue things. This is an update, I guess. Is that Gorilla Glue girl has raised $13,000 after the glue incident. 13,000.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like,
what do you mean?
I agree, because she got
like I don't want to
for free. What does she need $13,000 for?
Right. What are you gonna do with it? Like,
by more
no, she don't need a wig now. It's loose.
But at what cost?
Her hair. That's like
that
cost.
I mean, it was nice of people to, give money, show support, compassion, I guess.
I'm sorry, it was 13,000, but I'm getting corrected that it was actually 20,000. So now it's gotten up to 20,000. I was 13,000.
See, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with her getting money to get helped out because she couldn't afford whatever. Like, you do GoFundMe. All the dumb GoFundMes we've seen at this point, I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, just if you want to support, that's your money. You can do what you. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with her filing a lawsuit against a product that did exactly what it was supposed to do. That's where I drew the line.
But that wasn't true. So that was false. So
that wasn't true.
That was not true. She did an interview and she stated that was false. Someone said that on her behalf, but she's not filing. Okay, she is not filing a suit. So that was false. That was that's fake news.
Fake news.
So that was fake.
I'm also not okay with her using Gorilla Glue in the first place. And people
talk about that.
Trying to like, well, no. She's 40 years old and she can read.
She's 40.
She's 40 years. Joe beat it.
She looks good. I didn't think she was 40. I thought she was a teenager, early 20s.
She's 40 years old.
Yeah.
And so you missed me with the no, you're 40 years old and you know how to read. And it's Gorilla Glue. There's a beaver in wood on the front of the bottle. Like, it's for wood. It's not for hair. It
but look, some things in life are multi-purpose. You may have, thought that you could do. But look, you guys, I saw somebody in the comments, Darius said in the comments, I hate that people profit off of this or whatever the case may be. And, it may make somebody else do something stupid as well. Well,
they did.
That did a Gorilla Glue thing, and he glued a plastic cup to his lip just to see if the girl was lying. So I was like, so we just out here we're going to double down on the dumb thing. We're going to just say, double down on the dumb. Dumb enough. Let's double down on it. You know what I'm saying? So that also happened this week. So they are currently trying to get a solo cup off this dude's lip. All right. So let's pray for people's brains because they're losing brain power in this pandemic, I think. Just want to make sure.
So when Terrence said like people give money because she couldn't afford it, I agree with that. I'm okay with that. That's cool. But this man, if he was trying to come up off that, I don't know if I want to necessarily pray for his mind because I think his mind is intact and he might have wanted to come up or was just bored. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, let's pray for his recovery in spite of, because he probably got one less lip right now.
Let me
Now
say
they said he has to like wait, and then if it doesn't heal right, they're going to like do more work on his lip or whatever.
Like
I hear all that. I'm just really want to go to Home Depot and get some Gorilla Glue and see what I can glue to myself to get paid. I don't know about y'all. I feel inspired. Nobody here? Nobody?
No.
Inspired to do what, John?
Glue my hands together. Okay, I don't know. Let's see what happens.
You forever prayer.
Forever prayer.
All day, every day. And I'm getting 60,000. Which I want to do.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, maybe not. So as you guys know, Valentine's Day is coming up. It's gonna be tomorrow. I see the Williams family has their red on. And so they are ready. And Terrence has his red hat on and he's ready. And Jordan has her red shirt on and she's ready. So look, guys, we're gonna dive right in to some marital topics. It's going to get hot here. I can tell you that right now. The Relentlessly Real podcast men have decided to invite their wives, their significant others, their spouses on the show and talk about life married. Dear God, right before Valentine's Day. That's a really good idea, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of, John, can I ask first, does anybody have any of y'all have plans?
I'm doing it right now, T. I'm holding my daughter, sitting with my wife. That's my whole weekend.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. We got a few things lined up. A little bit of food or something. I'm gonna go out and get that and visit up real nice. And I can't disclose everything, but got a little something planned.
I got
an
ice maker.
Hey.
This is called celebration. Y'all better celebrate this.
It's the ice like you get in the hospital. So I'm like excited.
I see.
This is the sadness of this pandemic that she's excited about a daggone ice maker. But look, that's what life is right now. Pray for us.
I could actually use an ice maker like that, like a portable ice maker. So.
Enough. What are you guys gonna do? Because
we got plans. But my reason why I asked is because some people make it a big deal. Like, is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? And I think my issue is I have issue with people who get mad at you for making it a big deal. Like it's whatever is for you and your partner. That's the only thing that matters. Like if it's not a big deal, don't bash people who make it a big deal. Like, and if it's not a big deal, don't bash people who don't make it a big deal. Whatever works between you and your partner, that's it. Like for me, it's a big deal. I've always made it a big deal. I always will make it a big deal. Doesn't really matter. Like and that's fine. It's okay. But I hate when people be like, well, it's just one day, so I don't understand. Look, all right. Like, okay.
Right.
You keep that to yourself, the energy to yourself. Like, you just need to be, all right, ain't nobody ask you all that. All right. Like, let somebody have a day to celebrate somebody else and keep it moving. Like, that's just my take.
I mean, it's unfortunate that people go through things and, they not feeling all that great about their own lives, where it's like when somebody else talks about celebrating love that they can't celebrate with them. You know what I'm saying? But it's unfortunate how people built, but we just hope the best for everybody.
Facts.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into some marital questions since it's a Valentine's Day weekend and we want to get into some good trouble. So how are decisions made in your household? Is it 50-50, 70-30, 80-20? I was like, Lord, what am I about to? I got to do math. How are decisions made in your household?
Whatever London wants. Whatever my daughter wants.
Whatever your daughter wants, your daughter gets.
London runs everything. Like, give you a perfect example. My mom tells me that London, I didn't realize she did this the other day. So London, we were coming from my mom's house, and my mom had got them gifts, and London would not get out the car without the stuff. I was like, London, you can come back and get it. She's like, you know what, Dad? I'll just get it. Like, I'll just get it. My mom says, London tells me, she's like, Mom, I'll get it because Dad leaves stuff in the car all the time, and it's just my daughter's 4, mind you. So my daughter she already is running stuff in my household. She's like, you know what? I'll go get it. Dad, you go in the house. I got it. Because if you don't get it, it's going to be there for another 5 days. Who are you talking to me? Like who are you? Like, I got it, Dad.
Honesty at its core. Honesty.
Yeah, she's so honest. And to tell my mom that, like, She says, don't give daddy and don't give your son anything, Granny, because he just leaves it in the car.
She says, don't give your son.
Don't give your. She says your son because he leaves it in the car. Like he just leaves it in the car. Like she snitched. She still hasn't put up those lights that you gave me. She snitches on me to my mom. Like
that's actually
so she really does run things. But no, I say 50-50. It's like we pretty much do 50-50.
50-50. What about y'all?
And I'm gonna be fair. If it's financial, it's 80-20.
I was gonna say it depends on the topic, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it depends. And like he said, when it's a financial decision, it's more so me because I really consider all options. He's more so, let's do it. We got it. Let's do it. But I think about future. Okay, what is this gonna do if we spend this now? What's gonna happen when X, Y, and Z? You know. But most of the times, I think we talk it through. We're 50-50.
Right. That's dope. All right. What about the Williams?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing on this end, the 50-50 scenario. And especially when you start putting, I guess, the whole gender roles thing in the aspect. We don't necessarily practice gender roles, but it's like the typical thing. Like if it's something related to car stuff, right? You know, I'm most of the time making decisions about that. But at least we talk about it, and I let her know, hey, this is what I think we need to do with the cars, X, Y, and Z. What do you think? And we go from there. But when it comes down to finances, same way. That's the one right there. She's the banker, right?
She's the bank.
Yeah, she's the banker.
She's the bank. I tell people, I'll call the bank.
But like Tanisha said, it depends on the situation. So like with the car, that decision like it's on him because I don't care. As long as the car works, I get A to B, like, and I'm good. I don't care. But if it's something that's going to affect, like, both of us, all right, let's talk through it. Yeah. And then sometimes it's just like okay, whatever makes you happy. Like, either way, I'm cool with it. But whatever makes you happy, let's just go for it. Because, yeah.
Yeah, like, for instance, she'll be like, all right, cool. As long as the car works, that's cool. But I'm more like, man, we need to go ahead and get you a radio. We need to get you some floor mats. It's about the amenities, man. You know, I want to make you get comfortable. You know,
it's simple, girl. I just need to get there.
Man. Yeah, that's my
so with that being said, that was the same way here until I decided to put up some basic TV because she was not really into TVs in her loft area. And John saw it the other day, and she was like, oh, I know you're not going to give me this little basic TV. My daggone kids got better TVs than me. I know you lying. I said, oh, now you want to be in the technology. Oh, now you care about if it's 4K or LED or whatever. Now you can't be basic. I'm like, any other time, I'm sitting here walking around with basically a 3G phone, and she got a 5G phone. She don't even use it.
Listen, no offense to people who stay at the budget end, but he had me a budget end TV while he has this whatever, this big huge TV, and I'm like, no, for my area, keep that same energy, okay? Same energy. I want a big TV too.
It did look sad. I saw it in person. I said it's hard to. I was like,
John,
I'm not gonna lie. I said, God,
John,
it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch.
It's not hard to watch.
Yeah,
I didn't want to put it out like that, but
talking like it's like the little 15-inch TV with the
butt on it
on top and the little fat back. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it had an antenna on it, so I was a little concerned. So, Jovita, where you at on this first one? How decisions made in our household?
I have to agree. I think that a lot of the decisions are based on what it's about. You know, John definitely, if vacations, he's like, you just plan it, I'll be there. But, you know, like Renee said, like if he wants something and we can afford it, I'm not gonna fight you. I'm not.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I'm so worn.
Not like that, but his mom actually told me before we ever got married that, you know, when you get married, you got to choose your battles, and that's one thing that has just kind of stuck with me over the last 7.5 years.
Don't try to trick me.
I
stay quiet, bro.
Stay sharp, John. Stay sharp.
You're looking like, Jesus, is that right?
Lord, I ain't answering. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as we can afford it and it's not going to hurt anybody, then we're good.
100%. 100%. I agree with that. What are your biggest peeves and pet peeves, and what do you admire most about your partner?
Okay.
I got one. I mean, so we'll start with the peeve and then end it on a good note. I have this thing where if I say, Mike, this is fact and this is fact, he's like, okay, and goes to the next person. Hey, is this fact? They say yes. Y'all, when I say I can flip this whole table and walk away, it burns me up. But what I do love about Mike is how detailed he is. Sometimes it can get like, because I'm ready to move, but he's like, nope, I'm going to spend these several hours and figure this out. And yeah, even like when he taught Bible study this week, it was like you spent a couple days on a lesson that's taught in like less than an hour, but you really cared. Like I enjoyed that he cares about the things that he puts his mind to, and he will make sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted.
That's MacGyver.
Oh, thanks, babe.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice little.
Who's crying? Oh, okay.
No. So
I'm sorry. What about you, Mike?
Pet peeves. So, so I have this thing where, like, say if we run out of paper towels or something like that. Yeah, you know I was coming. So, say if we run out of paper towels, she will let the little cardboard piece, the junk of the paper towel, they will stay right there and won't replace that junk. Like I bet she's going around like, drying her
I did not do that.
something like that, or just, whatever. And I'm like, I walk in the house and I'm like, I snatch it off the thing and I go upstairs and go grab some paper towels. And she just laughed because she knows, like, I was busy doing some work or something like that. I was like, I got it. Don't worry about it. But it's like little stuff like that. But one of the things that I love the most about her is like just her flexibility, man. I think she even surprises herself sometimes when people give her certain tasks and stuff like that. And sometimes she won't necessarily come at it in a sense of like she'll figure it out. Regardless of whatever the situation is, she'll figure it out. It was kind of similar to what she was saying about me, but I could see where she kind of gets like not as confident sometimes. But I'll just be like, "Yo, you're doing it. Like you're doing it. It's you're getting it done." Type situation. Like just keep pressing, keep moving forward. And I'm just in awe of like all the great things she's capable of doing, whether it's being artistic, whether it's being, an awesome cook. Oh my gosh. Like, yo, I gotta hold off sometimes in reference to like food and stuff. Cause if I ate all the food in here that she's always cooking, I will probably be fat.
Mike trying to color.
Hey, color, brother. Color.
Go ahead, yo. But no, that's one of the things. Yeah.
Love it. All right. Go ahead. Yeah, if y'all don't have anything for any of these questions, it's fine. We can just keep it pushing. But if you have something, go ahead.
Pet peeve. I mean, I say pet peeve. I think my pet peeve would be like, I'm very like time sensitive. So like I've mapped my day out. Like when I wake up, sometimes days in advance. But if I wake up on Saturday morning, I've already mapped out what I'm doing that Saturday. And Tanisha's not time oriented, so she's like she can change it to whim. And so I don't like when she throws things like at me, like and it's at the last minute. So like I go to work and I'm coming home, I'm already tired, I'm drained, and it'd be like I'm almost at the doorstep and it's like 5:35. She's like, "Hey, can you stop past the market? Don't you want to stop past the market? Oh, I put this order in. Can you go pick this up?" And I'm just like, yo, I'm literally almost at my house. I wanted to watch this by 6 o'clock. It's like, and it's just like, it's nonstop. So I've had to work on just, you know what? Sure, no problem. I'll just do it. I hate doing it. But that's my pet peeve. It's just like, you know what? If you knew you wanted this at 3:00, just shoot me a message at 3:00 saying, hey, I'm going to place this order at 1:00. You know, and then can you on your way home? That's better because now I've adjusted my time and I can leave work earlier just to still meet my time and your need.
But obviously, I didn't know I needed it at 3:00.
Not if you
the time that I sent you, that's the time that I.
Not if this happens 3 times a week. If this happens 3 times, this is a pattern now. This is a pattern now.
It sounds to me you need to just go ahead and pick it up every day, and whatever day she don't want it, she could throw it away.
This is a pattern, John. Like this is a pattern now.
It's not every day.
What are you sitting in the house?
Listen, I made it so easy for him. All he has to do is go park in the Target parking lot, and they will put it in his trunk. I have made it easy
Jonathan,
for him.
that is a now thing. That's like this week. The previous weeks it was going in and picking, and now 2 hours, and she finds the most random thing. I need some piccolo, some what? I need a piccolo. What do you need a piccolo for?
None for you.
Like, now I'm looking, where's the piccolo? Excuse me, sir. The guy don't know where it is. So now I'm an hour and a half in the store. I'm just gone. And then when I get home, what I want to do, I want to get on Call of Duty or decompress. You're gonna be on that game all night. It's the normal thing. So those are like pet peeves. But we work through it. What I absolutely love about her is that I am not. We've talked about this on the podcast before. I'm not. It's not that I'm not big on family. But I'm more of an introvert. And so the things about me, I don't always consider like being like other people and stuff like this. And Tanisha is the opposite. She is an extrovert. So when it comes to caring about other people, or if somebody dies, she knows what to say. If somebody's sick, she wants to reach out. If somebody, no matter what, like if you've gotten a gift from me, it was Tanisha's idea. I'm gonna be very honest with you. If you've ever gotten anything from me, it was Tanisha's idea. Because I'm like, I'll just like, okay, I don't know, we can just, I can cash app them. Like, she's like, no, you don't do that. You need to do this. She's so like caring, so considerate. She's on this call with her family. She's in this with my family. She's literally about like involving everybody and reaching out to everybody. And I think that's very admirable because when you're trying to build a family, you want people to think that your household cares about the people. And it's her. It's not me. It's really her.
All right. Tanisha, do you have anything?
I do, Jonathan. I do.
She was waiting.
So listen, we're gonna keep it real. We're gonna keep it real, right? So I love my husband. Let me just be real. I love Terrence. Okay. But okay. Can you close the cabinets? Can you close the refrigerator? The refrigerator! Like how hard is it to go? You get a cup out and then boop, you close it. Why is that hard? Why is that hard? It's not hard. That's the answer. It's not hard to close the cabinets. It's not hard to close the refrigerator. It's not hard to follow the handwritten grocery list. So all you have to do is just check it off. Okay? Go to the aisle and check it off. If you did not check it off, that means you still need to get it. Not I couldn't find it. And don't even try to get a replacement. Like, no, don't call, babe.
He did his best.
It's like, I ain't see it, so I'm gonna come home with that.
I wasn't supposed to be here anyway. I was supposed to be home. I'm not supposed to be here. You should have went out and got it yourself. You got your own vehicle. You had plenty of time. I'm not supposed to be here. So
yes.
Even Instacart offers a
Hey. You stay. Hey, we all staying in our own marriages. I ain't going. We stay in our block. This is our block. That's your block. Y'all got that.
But I just got hit seriously on the ordering, and all you have to do is go to the parking lot and pick it up. So that's what I do. So I'm like, Lord, because I told God on him. I was like, Lord, I'm tired of it. Like, I'm sick of it. And I was like, okay, well, how can I make it easier for him? Obviously, this is too difficult. How do I make it a little bit less stressful?
So God said Instacart. God said Instacart. That's his answer to Instacart, Tanisha.
Instacart.
So she fuss at another person, not your husband. I like it.
Okay. So, but what I love about you, I love the way you care about me. I love the way you show that you love me, and it's constant. Like you do little small things. I'll mention like one thing, like, dang, I really need X, Y, and Z. It will be delivered the following week. And I'm like, I didn't even know you heard me.
Coloring.
So I really enjoyed that. I love how he parents our children. Like it's not just me. Like we really work together to parent our children. And I think that's so real nowadays that, you know, the children need a father, and he is that. He's just that. He is everything for our kids. And so I really love him for that. And I fall in love with him like each day when I see him with the kids. I'm like, oh, this man, woo. So yeah.
So I got kid number 3 on the way. Come on.
No,
Negative.
Kill that. That's it.
Bruh, you gotta tell me. You don't got to tell me. Go ahead.
Don't forget what I told you to say for me yesterday.
I got you, Joe. I got you.
Okay. No code stuff either. All right. So, babe, pet peeve.
Pet peeve. Jonathan does not listen. Oh my gosh, he does not listen.
That's right.
I will have an entire conversation and find out 10 minutes later it was with myself. I will say, did you hear me? That's what I get. I was talking to you this whole time. Oh, I thought you were talking to Jocelyn.
I did.
Look at whole map.
In the world.
That's hilarious.
I hate to say it because it sounds like I'm just going off of what Tanisha said, but he listens occasionally.
Oh, okay. Well, you just said I didn't listen. Now I listen. Okay.
And he will hear like the ice maker. Although the ice maker was because he was annoyed with me because I kept asking him to get me ice out of our refrigerator.
Did it still bless you? Does it still bless you? All right.
You heard it, and I didn't even say it. So, but also, having a second child has really kind of put, a lot of like, it's a lot. So, and he's just really stepped up and like helped with Jocelyn and all of that kind of stuff. And he goes with me to Disney World. He may complain the whole time, but he goes.
John hates Disney World.
I hate Disney World. Absolutely. I wish Disney World was never created, honestly.
Right.
I really hate it. Yeah. I feel like my pet peeve is more like, I be wanting her to go off and she don't. Like she be too patient. Like, you know what I mean? It really bothers me. Because I'm like, I'm the type of parent, like, I'm going to err on the side of killing you. I'm going to err on that side more than I'm going to err on the side of, like, grace. That's more my energy, right? So Javita's like, she'll let things slide. Kid talking reckless. I'm talking about, I said da-da-da-da, mommy. Da-da. I'm like, bruh, like, you got 2 more seconds before I go in there and start swinging, throwing chairs and tables. Like, I just can't take it. And she's so freaking patient. And it may sound like a compliment, but it'd be blowing me. Like, I'd be mad. Like, legit. Like, you can go off now, please.
This is your time.
This is your time. Like, I'll be like, I'm training her up to get mad often.
We can't both be like that.
Yeah, I'll be mad though. I'll be mad. So I think for her, what I love about her is that over the course of the years, like obviously you see your spouse go from like being your partner and then becoming a mother. Like that transition, I be looking at her, I'm like, yo, who are you? Like, what is it? We was on the move, like when we were dating, when we got married, we was on the move, taking trips, doing this, that, and that. We on the beach, smoking, drinking. I mean, you're not smoking, but I'm drinking, maybe smoking. I don't know who's doing what, up for now. But either way, living our lives, doing our thing, and then we slow down and start having kids, and it's like, yo, she becomes this all-time great mother. I'm like, yo, who is Jovita? Like, where'd she go? Like, where party girl go? So she just came and settled down to become this mother to our kids that has been super dope. So I've loved to see the transition in my wife, and I'm very proud of her in that way. Now we're gonna move really quick because I want to start getting to some more deeper questions in marriage. What are some challenges that exist in your marriage? And if you don't have anything, like for any of these questions, you don't have to answer them. You don't have to find something, dress something up. But if there's something like, at the top of mind, then let's move it. Let's do it that way. So what are some challenges?
I think time management. I think time I think so I have two pockets of friends, and I love that I have married friends whose wives don't work, and then I have married friends whose wives do work. And you gotta, when you in that dynamic, you gotta realize that they're different. When you're seeking counsel or talking about issues, it's two different situations. And so because Tanisha works, and I would even say she works, her job is right, especially right now, is really more time consuming. So time management is a challenge for us and sometimes we don't always make the expectation like verbally known. So like I plan out my day and she doesn't plan out her day. So she does it based off of what I feel like right now. So now that I'm off of work, I want to spend time with you. But I've already mapped out what I'm doing for the next 2 hours. And so trying to find that balance without that leading to like a disagreement and then I'm realizing that, okay, you know what, you gotta you gotta stop because you gotta put in the time to give her what she needs. But then hopefully she understands, okay, well, you know what, you also weren't clear with him. And so that's not fair. You can't expect him to drop everything he's doing because he already mapped out his day and he's like that. So that time management piece is still and we're almost, we'll be 10 years next year. And that's still challenging, especially when you add kids and two jobs, like demanding jobs to it. It could be a lot.
Yeah, it's so important to spend time, right, with your partner, and to communicate with your partner. And what Terrence said, that sometimes is a challenge because I work, I work, he works, and then we have, on top of that, we have the virtual school going on. So that's another headache. That's another time consuming activity. And then all the other household chores that you have, that's mixed in that. And then outside stuff, right? Your social life, like with your friends. And so I do think that is our biggest, like what you said, the time management and making sure that you are making time for your partner. Like that's so important and critical. Like if you can make time for everybody else, you can make time for your partner, period.
No, that's good. I think ours is, well, at least in my opinion, ours is kind of like in the same vein, in reference to time and spending intentional time with each other. And I say intentional because we can go throughout our days, throughout going to work and then coming home and then other assignments that we got to do, whether it's extracurriculars and things like that. And we'll sit back and at the end of the day we'll like watch a movie or something like that together, or we'll we'll eat together. Make sure we take time to eat together or something like that. But I think taking it a step further in reference to like getting back to the or advancing our intimacy of it all, right? So like being intentional about, hey, let's try to do something different other than watching a movie or like eating dinner at the counter or something like that. Let's go out and eat in the park or something, or something around the lines, just something different. And like I said, exploring the different things so we can, I guess, expand the intimacy of it all. I think that's the challenge for us this year. We even said at the top of the year, like for our vision boards, that we wanted to do that for each other. Even started the year with like, hey, these past few years we've been together, what do you, like, things might have changed. So what do you need from me? What do you need from me now as a husband? You know what I'm saying? What do you need from me now? And likewise with her, she asked me the same thing. Like, what do you need from me as a wife? So yeah, just being intentional with time.
Okay. Babe, you have... Okay. I want to color more. I be wanting to color. Yeah. I think in all truthfulness, the hardest thing to do when you have one kid and then two is coloring. When you gonna color? Like what time? How? They be just staring at you all day like, daddy, eat. I want to eat. I want to play. I'm like, bro, I want to color. I can't color. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you, man.
We can't all get what we want in life. That's what I'm trying to teach her lessons. Like, look, I want to color. But I think for us, we actually just had this conversation that marriages shift, right? So like as marriages shift, it becomes more important to kind of be there for the kids and there for there for your wife and coloring, because like it kind of falls to the kind of bottom of the list. But we have to make sure that we keep fighting for it to get back to the top of the list again, or top of mind again, because that's, to me, I think it's important to keep the cohesion in marriage is coloring, not just for the man, but just for the marriage. You know what I'm saying? So that's been one of the hardest things, to kind of keep at top of mind. And my brother Chris Fields has said you got to get creative with the color. I want to color outside the lines. The way my wife said earlier, I want to color outside. Let's see what happens. Let's just go wild with it. You know? I'm with you, Chris. You got to find those creative ways, and we will get creative. I said one day my kid's gonna be like, "Dad, where are you?" I'm like, "We're in the garage. I'm not gonna hold you. We're just we're in the garage because that's all we could get away from y'all to get this coloring in." But did you have anything you want?
No.
You don't want to say yours now, right?
No, that's it.
Yeah.
Color outside the line.
Wait, I thought somebody had something. Y'all good?
No,
that was good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting to me because it's just like I forgot somebody posted something on Instagram and I was following and it was like, you know, it's interesting seeing how people think pre-marriage, post-marriage, and it's like your mind going into marriage. Oh, I'm a color every day. I can't wait. Blah 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 blah. But as you get into the nitty gritty, like I always speak for me. For me, I'm like, I want to color, but I'm tired. like I'm tired. Like I'll color tomorrow. Like can we So for me, it's like I'm with y'all. It's also been like right now, especially in this season because of COVID, because of virtual learning. I feel like the coloring is like the last thing. Like it's just like, but it's important that you do color, because if you don't color, then something's wrong. Why are you not coloring? Like, what's wrong with the coloring book? What's wrong with the crayons? What's wrong with so it's just like I hear that side of it, but that doesn't come up because it's like lately, I don't know, and it's just like, yo, we get off of work. I mean, she be getting off of work sometime at like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm talking about like 8 to 10 p.m. at night. And so if my coloring expectations is like, yo, what you doing? Like at that point, I feel like, yo, you not, all right, you're a little foul-T. Like, can she breathe? like she got a color right now. Like, and so, but then at the same time, it might flip, and we have different coloring seasons.
Yeah,
it's really weird. We like so just like it's just, and they never like weeks.
They never be on the same.
They never be, and people don't talk about that. Like people don't talk about that before marriage, about how like it's not really nothing you doing wrong. You wrong. It's just I just don't want to color. I don't want to color, but I do want to color. So now you got to color. You better color. You better color.
But I will say, there's never been a time where I wanted to color where you deny me.
I mean, it's just he will stop. Ain't no man not gonna color. Like, what man is not gonna color?
I've actually not colored.
It does not matter what he is doing. He will stop.
Like,
but.
Knee deep in a full game of Madden, because I still game. Don't care nobody say Madden. Oh, you want color? Hey, yo, I'll take a forfeit. Cool.
Yeah. See y'all later.
But later, like, you want color.
Yeah, no, that's facts. I think I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think is one major, other than maybe even coloring, or it could be this could be your thing, but what's one major misconception that people may have going into marriage that is you found out once you got married? It's like, man, they was tripping. They didn't let me know about this one. Like whatever that misconception was, like you thought something was gonna be one way and it ended up being a whole nother way. Yeah, have anything that's a major misconception?
I think for me, and so I as I get older and like after we got married, it was hard for me to, I guess, stay really excited about the whole purity movement within the church, just because I felt like once I got married, like I saved myself for my husband, which I do not regret at all. And we waited until we got married to color. Sorry. But my bad. But I felt like I wasn't prepared. So I felt like I wanted, once I got here, it was like, man, there's some things that I should know that I don't know, and nobody took the time to tell me. All they told me was don't do it. And that can be a stressor. So like Mike was an experienced colorer and I wasn't.
Man,
and
don't. John, don't.
That was for me.
And I don't know, I just really wish it's presented differently, because then it can make people like, well, that was stupid. I'm not going to tell my kids to do that, or I'm not going to, endorse this. I mean, I still think it's a good thing to wait, but it needs to be framed differently. And I wish somebody did that for me, because I think it would have made a difference, because that was a big challenge for us when we first got married. Thank God things have improved with that. But, just being real, it was hard to deal with.
Yeah, no, facts.
It's just basically for women, because I think all three of us are in agreement. Meanwhile, all three of the men are like,
we're in agreement.
We're experienced.
Well,
so
but go ahead, Mike.
So let's touch on that a little bit, right? So as far as the whole the culture of it all in reference to the purity movement, right? Like Renee was saying, it was like as we were, growing up and even being discussed within the church, purity was like we were always taught like the don't do it aspect, but we weren't taught the once you're joined together, you become one flesh. That was the intentionality. Like sex was intentional. It was intentional. It was a part of it.
Coloring was intentional.
Coloring was intentional.
Yes. Thank
Amen.
you.
So coloring, coloring was intentional, right? So people, I guess, within the church, I guess kind of move away from that, because we don't know how to necessarily discuss it in a way where it's safe to discuss, but then exposing people to certain thoughts and things of the nature that will promote you to, I guess, pursue those things before marriage. So I don't know, man. I've been doing some studying on it, and I'm trying to figure out ways to have these conversations early on without, causing somebody to stray left or right, or like away from purity, right? So like, how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we have that conversation? I don't know yet, but I'm just asking the question.
Actually, okay, go ahead. I can't hear you. Well, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, but I think having the conversation is just, I think sometimes we try to, I'm not saying this is what you're doing, Mike, because I think you're Dr. Mike. So I think there's a reason why you have kind of procedure to it. But I think that at the same time, we assume so much about like, oh, you have never heard of this or heard of that, or you don't like we're not the first to introduce coloring to even the Christian faith, right? Like they're hearing it all day and night and whatever. They're getting marketed through it. They're on Instagram, social media, whatever, just like we are. So I think sometimes we're so scared to broach the topic from any perspective that we don't talk about it at all. So we or to Renee's point, when we do talk about it, it's like don't have it. You can't have it, and it's not okay. Why don't you have it? There's reasons behind the not having it, right? Like we just like to create rules behind it and not say no. There's and Terrence says this all the time, which I appreciate for him. I appreciate about him. He always says like, "Yo, the why behind me not waiting basically was like, man, like now I wish I had waited for my wife. Like I wish I had not have given me to so many others, or like from my own experience, I wish I had not given so many other people something I could have only gave my wife, right? But I had went out there and did it, and I feel like there, like Mike talks about soul ties and all this stuff that's happening from that. I'm like, man, if we had dived deeper beyond the front part of the issue and went behind it a little bit more, there would have been more knowledge and substance behind the why, beyond just saying don't do it, don't ever do it, because that's not the end all of the conversation.
Yeah, and in the comments, sorry, Tanisha.
It's okay, go ahead.
You trying to talk?
It's okay.
I see LaJonica wrote framed differently, so I want to clarify what I said. When I say framed differently, I mean like still talk about it. I mean still present it as, yes, everything John just said basically, but also in the appropriate times and in the appropriate ways, give some education there, because then once I got married, it was like, oh, this is still wrong. Oh my gosh, I'm supposed to, but am I really supposed to? I feel like I'm not supposed to. So my body is not agreeing with my mind, and it's hard for me to like get into this because I'm confused. So I think there needs to be education. Of course, don't tell teenagers who are single about all the ins and outs of coloring and you need to do this and this for your husband. But like in different stages, it has to be taught in appropriate ways. I hope that clarified.
Tanisha, please.
I totally agree. I think before you get married, this should be a topic that you discuss with your partner. So whether you get education or not on it from the church, whoever, I think this should be a topic. What is your expectations? Is your expectations that you want to have coloring 3 times a week? Is it every day? Because your expectations may be different, right? Okay. And what is the experience you want with coloring, right? Because there's different experiences, okay? There's different things that you can bring into it, right? I think all that should be discussed prior to marriage, and people don't tell you that it's important because you may be marrying someone who needs it every day, okay? That's a lot of work. So you need to determine, are you going to sign up for this for life with someone who needs it every day? Or you might be married to somebody who don't need it as much, maybe 3 times, 4 times a week or whatever. So I think it's important for those who are considering marriage or who is even married to communicate to you. And a lot of times don't assume that you know what is pleasing your partner. Talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a game changer for Terrence and I. Now, Terrence was more experienced than me, so he really got it. You know what I mean? So, he.
No, I'm just kidding.
But we talked about it. Like, you may think that you are pleasing your partner, and you're really not. Right?
And that's important.
And
I'm tying that in because so it's not even just before. And people who talk to me, so I've echoed this even on the podcast and other circles as well. It's the before, it's during, it's like marriage. I don't want to say counseling, but then you should have consistent therapy, consistent work on your marriage before and during. This whole idea of you having premarital counseling, then okay, we're good now, and boom, is whack and it's fake. And so and I like what you all are saying, and then coloring needs to be a vast part of the conversation because it is important. And so like you said, you may go in thinking, yeah, I'm this and I'm that and I'm that, but that's the problem. Like in my mind, it's like if you were only designed to really please one woman, then I can't be bad or good. You have nothing to compare it to. There's no comparison. I'm like, it's just me and you. But because of your past experiences, or whether it be in the real or what you've seen on television, whether you've got involved in certain things you shouldn't, you bring that into your marriage. And so now you've brought in expectations. And if you don't ever talk about it, if you don't ever like question it, why do I feel this about this and that and this and that, then it's going to lead to friction. It's going to lead to you not being pleased. And then it leads to frustration. And then it leads to more that really wouldn't be there if you just had conversations about what is the need in this area. We can talk about every other need. We can talk about financial needs. We can talk about, like what I want in a home. We can talk about what I want in a career, what I want in children. But why can't we talk about this? Like, why is that such a taboo topic for believers and non-believers? It's just, you're this if you talk about it. Nah, I want to please my partner and I want to be pleased. So and
it's okay.
And that's okay.
It is okay to be pleased. It is okay. You hear me? When you get married, you listen. You have a license.
Yes.
Please your partner. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ask questions. So yeah.
Somebody's passionate. Somebody on this podcast here is passionate about coloring. So I want to ask this question for people that may be listening on the live stream. What do you think? Because I feel like we talk about, I think Mike and I, Terrence and I all talk about, our wives and what we think are important about our wives and women and all that. But what do you think are 3 characteristics a husband should have? When you're going into marriage, what are some things that are kind of need to be pillars within a marriage from a husband's perspective, from our wives?
I think stability is
what do you mean by that?
the kind of the ability to just be there. And I hate, like, a pillar, essentially, you know, where you are kind of just unmovable by what's happening around you. You know, like a lot of times, like I get overwhelmed with, like, you know, everything that's happening, because, you know, there are outside stressors, there are kids, there's a giant puppy that's running around knocking things over, you know, a toddler having a temper tantrum. And then, you know, John will just kind of come in and just say, okay, just breathe, just calm down. And, you know, we'll tackle this, we'll tackle that, we'll do this, we'll do that. And for me, I think, you know, having that stability, that person to just kind of talk me off the ledge so that I don't throw everything out of this house, is really, like, it's huge.
Yeah.
So for me, one of the main things is stability.
This is just for the ladies. This question.
Yeah. One of the things for me, and most recently, has been the ability for my husband to be able to identify his emotions and to sometimes share them with me. So in the whole journey of fertility for us, I know I feel a way, I'm sure he feels a way, but if we don't share how we feel, or he's not open to share how he feels, it's like, do I feel this way by myself? And is he like just trying to be strong, but is he suffering by himself because he won't open up, kind of thing? So for us, or for me rather, being able to identify the emotion and also be comfortable enough to share it with me.
Tanisha, you have anything, or you good?
Let me think about it.
Okay, no problem. How has having kids impacted your marriage?
Right.
Y'all, I mean, y'all you know, y'all good.
Our first child put a huge stress on our marriage, just because I think the woman immediately almost kind of becomes a mother, because she has to change everything about the way she acts. You know what I mean? Because she's now mothering a fetus. Everything you eat, everything you drink, the emotion you feel, everything literally affects this baby that is growing inside of you. So from the moment you get that positive pregnancy test, the woman is a mother. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, for us, it took John a while to kind of like hone in on the fact that he was a dad. You know, like he's like, when we brought her home, he's like, oh, we got a kid, we got a whole kid. And, you know, it's one thing to know that you have a kid, and it's another thing to like kind of be, you know, like know what to do with it. Because again, we when we came home, we literally, like, we looked at each other and we were like, what do we do? Like, what do we do now? And,
Can I say something to that? Why they trust us to take the kid? Like, why y'all trust us? Like, we didn't. We don't know nothing.
We had a 30-minute, like, this is what you do if this happens. This is what you do if this happens. Like, sort of thrown at us after we had the baby, like in the hospital. And we were just like looking at each other like,
I can't do this.
What
now? It was too late.
You hear that?
So, like, you know, we just like, we can't both like sit back and wonder what to do. So, you know, as a mom, like, I just kind of, you know, you step up, you do what you have to do, you learn your kid. But, you know, I think now that we have a second one, like, he's an old pro. He's like throwing kids around and whatnot. Like, so it was, I forgot what the question was.
We were saying how that's why kids impact your marriage, because they take your brain cells away that you can't even remember what the question was when it's asked. You were like, what were we even talking about?
That's what I asked Terrence. I was like, what was the question again? That's what he was answering. I forgot the question.
how do kids impact your marriage? But where I thought she was going to go though was where kids, for us, our first child made us start talking about divorce. Yes. Our first child introduced divorce for us for the first time ever, and we were married for 5 years before we had our first child, right? So it just kind of like was like, wait a minute, why are we thinking about divorce? But I mean, we were so down, like she said, she became so connected with our firstborn, it lost our connection. And we had often conversations about, yo, if you're not gonna color, I'm gonna go find me somebody to color with. So I need you to let me know what's up. And I'm the type of person, as y'all know, I said it just like that. And I was really very real with her about it because I felt like, yo, this is where I'm at emotionally about this situation.
And on my side of it, I was like, well, I need you to be more connected with me and her.
Right.
Because I'm not interested in coloring with someone that's not connected with me. Right. And right now, my main connection is with her because she can't do for herself.
Right.
So you come on to us, come over here with where we are.
Right.
And
neither was wrong. Neither of us was wrong, exactly. but neither of us could either see each other's point at that time either, because we were both unfulfilled in that moment,
And that's it. And the reason why I interject right there, because there's a misconception, and there's some kind of, I don't want to say like cockiness or this big hit is because you know what you're doing as far as coloring, and we just kind of talked about that. It is. Men and women operate differently in that area. And one of the things that I just have come to, and I'm getting old, I just really believe that men and women will always communicate differently, and men and women will always have different needs, period. There's nothing you can do about it. And the best you can do is navigate how do we continue in the same path, knowing we operate differently. And so what gets her in the coloring mood does not get me in the coloring mood. What gets me in the coloring mood doesn't get her in the coloring mood. And so when you go into it, I guess when you're young, you're like, oh yeah, well, I'm ready. Why aren't you ready? But when you get older, you realize, okay, it's no wonder she's not ready. I have not triggered a coloring mood for her. And no one wants that. And so I say for us, like kids, it takes time away. It does all that, etc. Like, so, everything you could think, you can go, everything you could think of, I think kids have like, and then we were different because we had kids like pretty much right into it.
That's what I was
So we got married in June. She was pregnant by August. So it's like, we didn't get a chance to know, I never got a chance to know her as a wife. She was immediately pregnant wife. And you know how pregnant hormones and all that stuff like that.
I'm sorry, what do you mean by that?
You know what I said? I said exactly.
What do you mean by that?
I said exactly how I said it. I'm not taking it back.
Sorry, what you mean?
Pregnancy. Thank you. Pregnancy hormones.
No, that's me. That's me making sure I turn my camera off. I was trying to turn
pregnancy hormones, pregnancy stresses. We were moving, so it was just so much going on. And then especially at that point, I'm like, John, yo, I'm trying to color. You ain't trying to color, but of course you ain't trying to color if your back is hurting and you sick. So it's just so much going on to that. So kids change all that dynamic. But for me, I think what happened, I had to grow in, okay, cool. How do I find a way to love you or connect you more? It's not even about getting you to color. It's more so, how do I find a way to, if I say I'm really here for you, I can't really be here for you if I'm not really here for you. So I had to figure out, what does that mean? And so I remember, and this is the case in point, John and Mike, the way this podcast started is we got together on Saturdays, and we just as married men. It was me, John, Mike, my boy Antonio, and we would just get together, have conversations, and that's how this podcast started. And I remember I'm sitting here thinking I am I am king husband. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and John was just like, but T, have you really sat back and stood back and says, does she need all of this? You think you're doing all this for her, but you're doing all this because it makes you happy to do it. But does she need all of this? And so while you're thinking you're doing this and you're sacrificing, you're literally pretty much giving up all your time and your money to please her a way that please you, you haven't met her love language. And I'm sitting there like, yo, I thought I did. I know that book, blah, 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 blah. I had to sit back like, yo, realize, oh, dang, he might be right. And ever since we've had that conversation, I'm not saying things have been perfect, but things have been much better as far as how I'm clear about, okay, cool. What do you need? What do you want? Asking questions, trying to meet. Because before I was just doing and just doing and just doing and just doing, just going. Because I thought I didn't have to ask you what you needed. I'm the man. I know what you need. Nah, bro, you don't. You got to work on your marriage. You got to work, and that's hard with kids because you got to work on marriage and you got to work on parenting, and that's challenging at times.
Can I add something parenthetically to what you just said, too, T? Is that I think what we did right about that was that we were determined to figure out what was wrong in ourselves as husbands, to start working on ourselves as husbands and as leaders or whatever of our household. That's not normal. And I would encourage all of us to create those kind of subcultures. Even people that are listening, like find people that help build you up. You know, as your husband, or if you're a man, your other brothers around you help build you up. If you're a woman, other women around you help build you up to say, hey, maybe there's something that your husband can't say that only another woman can say to you. And I feel like there's certain things only a man can say to another man that challenges them in a way that makes them want to be better. And that was one of the things that I feel like we're glad that we did that, because when I started going out for those brunches, it was like, man, you inevitably start talking about things. Things come up, things come to the surface. And this is around the time when our marriage wasn't as strong as it is now, right? So like, thank God that we went to have those conversations, you know what I'm saying? But I think that we should all create those subcultures, and we should make that more the energy. Like everybody has to create a team around them of men, if you're a man, and woman, if you're a woman, of like, yo, you need to work on this as a wife, and maybe you should work on this as a husband, and maybe that'll better serve him, and maybe that'll better serve her.
And they cannot be yes men or yes girls. That's annoying. Yeah. Like I see so many people not trying to work on self and trying to say like, I want, like, well, my partner needs to do this, and she needs to do this. As if it's a guy, you know, this is what's wrong with women. If she just did this, and you really have to have people in your corner say, nah, bro, you were wrong. You were flat out wrong. You need to do this better. Step your game up. Blah blah blah. And I was happy that I did not have yes men at that table. And I think at that moment I made the decision that I actually was no longer going to discuss any issue with marriage with anybody else besides those four guys. Literally, because I knew, like, if they were able to tell me that blunt, T, you messing up. Like, bro, you messing up. Like, it was just, you got to have that. And I don't see that a lot. I see a lot of people going to social media, posting statuses, and John and Micah knows, that's my pet peeve. You know, like, well, a real man does this. How do you know what a real man does if you don't have any real men around you? Or if you don't have any, like, how do you know if you don't have that? You don't have that around you. So you post these statuses about what's wrong. Where is the self? Where are you working? Where do you post what you're working on self? And nobody posts that. No one talks about how they're working on themselves. They only talk about how other people need to do better. And so that was a big challenge for me. It's like, I'm not going to post that. I'm going to post about like things that challenge me. So when I post stuff, I'm probably suffering from the same thing, which is why I'm posting about, I need to do this better, you know? So.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I also think that one thing I want to say before I ask Renee and Mike a question, I also think that women can't change men. I don't think that's really that possible. It's not possible. Like, you know, men, and Javita knows probably best, because she's like, look, this guy is stubborn. He's annoyingly stubborn, right? And she'll say things like how y'all said, she'll say things that I need to change or work on, whatever. And I'm like, man, whatever. And so T say, I'm like, man, maybe I should think about working on that. Like, you know what I mean? And so, but I feel like men are able to challenge men in that way and kind of form a man in a way a woman never could. And I hate to say it like that, but it's just facts. It's like the only time I've ever really changed in my life is when a man has said certain things. They saw things in me that I need to change, and they said it to me in a way that was like, you know, I knew they care about me, love me, and was trying to encourage change inside of me. Like nothing that, like no shade to my wife, I would change things maybe over time, begrudgingly, but like where I've done things quickly and changed more over the course of my life has really been when men have like said, I see this in you, you need to take care of that, you know? But I wanted to ask a question, and maybe Mike, you had something on that before.
Yeah, so like, and I don't want to negate the fact that people are willing to influence or are capable of influence others, right? So for instance, like women are capable of like mentioning things to men in a way of, you know, to make you like think about things in a different perspective. But it's and vice versa, right? But there is something about you being face to face with somebody that looks like you, to be able to call you out on your stuff and being able to give you a perspective from like, you know what, you know what I'm talking about. You living what I'm going through right now because you look like me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that can go so many other ways, not just like man to man, women to women, but even from a race standpoint, like from a black man to a black man. Sometimes I need to hear some things from a black man because other men can't tell me the same stuff and I won't hear it the same, or, you know, it won't affect me the same way. It won't have as much of an impression as if it was coming from somebody that looked like me. But no, you go ahead.
So my question was, and somebody actually asked it on the on our stream, our live stream, said a good question would be asked: how has the inability to have kids impacted your marriage?
Yeah, I'm really glad LJ mentioned that, because when you guys were talking about, I guess, you know, how kids were affected, we kind of, you know, taken aback or whatever, jokingly, but at the same time, that's something that people don't talk about a lot within marriages, right? Within relationships at all, the difficulties, if you will, not necessarily the inabilities, but like the difficulties that people have. And the reason why I switch it from inability to difficulty, because, you know, we're in a situation where we understand the revelation and everything that God has given us in our lives in reference to being able to have kids. So I refuse to accept the fact that we're not capable of having children. We're in a particular place at a particular time that God wants us to be in. And when that time comes, it's going to come. But for right now, we are putting ourselves in position that we're ready to have kids when that time comes. So just to kind of give some, I guess, perspective, what we go through. We've been together, married coming up on 5 years. Mm-hmm. And we have had our difficulties with, you know, being able to have children. With a little bit of transparency, Renee has had some medical appointments, right, throughout the years that have expressed, okay, these are the things that are happening with your body that will, you know, make it difficult for you to have children. And in spite of what we hear from the doctors and what they're saying, we are constantly in our prayer rooms and, you know, in our own minds, in our own spaces, saying, hey, what do we expect out of this? And if this is what we're expecting out of it, let's pray to God and ask him, like, okay, give us revelation in reference to, like, okay, is this something going to be for us, or do we just cancel out altogether? And the answer is, like, we still believing for it. That's what God has given us. And it used to be a difficult topic for me to talk about. Me specifically, I know it's been difficult for Renee as well. Because she had mentioned before about the whole communication aspect, about what is deemed important in a husband, right? Being able to communicate when there are things that you're going through, and being comfortable enough to be able to talk about those things. I wasn't always that guy. I was in the beginning, like, I was very, like, capable of communicating my emotions, but when it came to this particular topic, it was super difficult, man. I guess I couldn't deal with the emotional aspect of it, to the point where, like, I didn't want my emotions to reflect on her, because I understood that she was having a difficult time with it too. So I had to stay strong and stay strong for her and stay strong for us, to the point where I just never discussed it. So when I finally did, man, I broke down. Like, it sucked. And I didn't realize how bad it was hurting me until I actually talked about it. And it helped, not only talking about it with my wife, but with people that I trust, like other men as well, to see that they're going through similar situations. Like, it is difficult to have kids at times. Some people, you might look at their lives and it's like, yo, like, they spitting out kids left and right type situation. Mm-hmm. And that is, I would like to motion to normalize, though people are having children, it is difficult to have kids at the same time. So that's just That's just my piece on it.
Yeah, and to add to that, just re-looking at the pinned question, she said, how is it impacting our marriage? And I honestly think we're still trying to figure that out. Like, I don't think there's a solid answer to that because it changes based on where we are. So maybe year one, we were frustrated. And maybe I think I was in a position like, okay, well, I'm losing my faith on this and I'm angry, and that projects on him. So that gets tough as far as communication. And, well, I don't want to color because I'm upset. And so my mind isn't there, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then as we go on, you get to another phase where it's like, okay, let's talk about it. Are you okay if we really don't? And it's like, well, are we putting this on the table to talk about? And so we had to have the uncomfortable conversations. And I think now we're at a place where it's like, okay, it's going to happen, but we're not going to idolize the idea of it. And so when it happens, it will, but we're not going to focus on it because it's kind of that thing where you focus on something, it becomes an idol, and then it's like, but you forgot about God who's going to do it for you, kind of thing. And so we're in a place where we're reshifting where we're focusing our attention. And I think that has helped both of us because we're not like, coloring doesn't feel like a chore. It's like, okay, I really do like you. Okay, you turn me on. Like, we're a thing here. Like.
John, don't ever do that again.
Body roll.
Don't ever do that again.
I'll reserve it for Jovita. I'll do it only for Jovita.
Yeah, it has forced us to learn how to communicate and have uncomfortable conversations for the sake of our marriage. And then, like when Mike mentioned the community, like y'all got the community of husbands. We have our community of couples who we're like, yo, I'm having a tough time today. And just going to people who can understand, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember, Jack, because I remember when we had that shout out to the Because Life podcast with Ashley and I know I'm gonna jack her name up, Nima. I remember it wasn't until we had that podcast with those two young ladies a few whiles back that it didn't dawn on me the pressures that women face in that area, and so that conversation changed my whole mindset as to why I think I'm thank you for Renee and Mike for sharing. That is a conversation that needs to be had. I've seen a lot of people needs to be had more because like the idea that man, like, as a man, I feel less value if I'm not providing, and that's something that we all, or Jovita said, if I'm not keeping stability, if my wife does not feel safe, if I'm not a protector, I'm like, okay, at this point I don't feel like I'm equipped to handle. But there are some things that women might feel. I feel like I'm less because I have not done this, and having to navigate those conversations and etc. Or it was so much, and I don't think I thought about that until that podcast when they and they were single, but they were just sharing in how society puts women on a clock. It's like, and so it puts society gives these things where you got to do it by this, you got to have this by this. And the same thing with sometimes not as that deep in my opinion, but just like with men, like I got to have my own house by this. I got to be able to give her this by this. I got to be able to do this for her by this X amount of time. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm a failure. And so we both have those. And then we've had to have conversations, not about that, but just in general of, I don't feel like I'm doing this and I'm failing you in this area. How can I not fail you? Like, or etc. So,
and not comparing yourself
to and that's hard for me.
Marriages, like your marriage is your marriage. So you need to find out what makes you happy in your marriage, not what Jonathan is doing in his marriage to make his wife, or what Mike is doing. Find out what makes you happy in your marriage and do just that. And I see that as like often it's the issue, like, oh, well, they have this house, or they have this many kids, or they have, it looks like it from the outside, but you don't know what's going on inside that big house. Okay. You don't know what is in there. So
you think it's a Notebook and it's really Malcolm and Marie. So
right,
you don't know.
You don't know. I keep telling y'all that. But no, I wanted to stay right there for a second, and we're going to be ending the podcast in a little bit, guys. We've almost been on here for 2 hours. It's been great conversation, but the infertility piece is huge because Javita and I had this conversation, and there's so much shame attached to trying to have kids, getting pregnant, losing a child along that journey, and all those things. We experienced those things, and it was so funny. We felt the shame of it. We felt the guilt of it. We felt the man. I remember Javita. I don't know if I can share this. Can I share? You know, she was. I mean, we talking about depression, crying. When we lost our first child, you know, along that process. And I remember sitting down with one of my friends and just kind of telling them, you know, what was going on. And he was like, oh yeah, we lost our first kid, and they have like 2 kids. And I'm like, I didn't even know this is something that was even an issue. I thought that once I was ready to shoot one off and it hit the, you know, egg, I'm good. You know what I mean? But the reality was I was so ill-informed about it, and I had no idea about, you know, the struggles that it was to have a kid. And then when we started going through the struggles, there was so much shame and so much. I remember like it was yesterday. Like, I mean, my wife was crying, and you know, as a husband, where you go into something new that you've never been through before, and you don't even have the bandwidth to think about it. And I didn't know about caring about a kid till the kid even got here. You know what I'm saying? So imagine what's going on in her body, and I don't know nothing about what's going on in her body at the time. I don't know why she feels this way. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know why how she. You kind of be like, well, what happened? How did you lose? You're not trying to be mean, or you know what I mean. You just want to know. I don't know no information, right? So there was so much shame attached to that. I just want to like, I don't know, like kind of highlight that more, because I feel like so many times we'd be like, oh yeah, Jocelyn and Jordan, but after we had Jocelyn, I think Javita started saying, well, what if we couldn't have another kid? Yeah, she was like, well, what if we can only have one? I'm like, you didn't think we could have the first kid. And we saw God move and allow us to have Jocelyn. And there was, even after having a fulfilled promise, there was still a sense of, oh, well, maybe it might not happen again. Like, it's like doubt will come in any form before the kid, after the first kid. And now she's talking about having a daggone third. I'm like, listen, enough, okay? You know, but in all truthfulness, it's the I just want to kind of, I guess, caution the idea, and I pray I'm going to do a better job of praying for and with you guys on your journey, because I think sometimes you just feel isolated and you feel like you're by yourself, and you are not. We lost at least 2 in infertility.
And what I want to say is that, you know, is with more and more female celebrities coming out about it, like with Chrissy Teigen literally did an Instagram post about losing her last son, 20 something weeks in. And I mean, the timing was awful for me, but at the same time, like, you know, having her do that, like, it's something that is for some reason just not talked about in society. And it just needs to be, because, you know, miscarriages should not be so isolating in a moment when you need community, a support and support system and community, and almost more than any time ever. Because it, you know, like you said, you just wonder, like, is it something I did? Is it something I didn't do? What more could I have done? And really, a lot of times it really is not you. Like, it is literally just not a viable fetus. And, you know, it to have that talked about more often, I think, is going to be a huge help, even for our next generation.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and even from folks that, I guess, people mean well, right? So you got family members and stuff that ask us at times, like, all right, yeah, when I'm gonna get a little nephew or a niece, or when I'm gonna get a grandbaby or something like that. And they mean well, man, but they have no idea
that
that could be doing, right? Instead of in a way of, you know, like legit asking a question like, hey, you know, what's been going on? Like, legit trying to figure it out, right? Rather and trying to figure out means of, I guess, helping or comfort or whatever the case. Instead of like approaching them like, hey, y'all need to hurry up type thing. Yo, that can be damaging.
Yeah. I think my dad does a really good job of doing that, and I really appreciate him for it, because not a lot of people ask us for whatever reason. They could like not want to be the people that trigger us, I guess. Yeah. But my dad normally just like, how things going, darling? And then he'll like pause and be like, okay, but don't tell me too much because I don't need to know all that, but just how's it going? And though he doesn't want to hear all the ins and outs of his daughter's body, it's like he still asks. Sometimes, you know, it just goes like, all right, daddy, that's enough. But it's just like but thank you for asking. Because then in a conversation with him, I realized that I think he was asking me something about like, well, has Mike gotten tested or anything like that? And I was just like, well, I never asked him because I don't want to feel like I'm blaming him for it. And I never realized I felt that way until I had that conversation with my dad. So it's nice to have people to kind of have productive conversations with you about it. Not like a win, because if I had the answer of when, you know, we might have already had one by now. But just having productive conversations with people is refreshing sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I think that's exactly what we're talking about. But I also think it's up to us to start opening those doors, right? Like start engaging in those conversations. Maybe not necessarily you guys, because you might not be at the point to have that right now. But like us who've gone through it and maybe are on the other side of it, and then when you guys are on the other side of it, maybe that might be something you want to say, hey, let's start breaking the way things have been going and start introducing us talking about it first, you know, because the way culture has been trashed about this particular topic. Yeah. I only have one other question for you guys before we hop off of here, guys, because we're getting to feeding time and all this other foolishness that happens here. People got to eat. They got to eat. What are some things you wish you would have normalized breastfeeding on?
Normalized breastfeeding. Thank you, Jovita.
Let's do the whole hashtag too, baby. You know,
love it.
What are some things you wish you would have done before getting married? Last question.
Ooh, save more money. For me, that's easy to save more money. I wish I've talked about this before. I understand that people, the dream wedding is some people's concept and having this and having that. And I get it. I'm not knocking anybody who thinks that, but being like, oh my God, I'll be 40 this year. Like, I'll be 40 this year. When I think about it, that $25,000 was a down payment on a house. That was like, you know, that's like, there's so much I could do with that versus, and in general, I'm not like that in general. I'm not a person who wants to spend a vast amount of money just for one moment. Even like I'm planning a 40th birthday trip, and she's like, "Well, I said I don't want to spend that much, and it's my 40th." I'm like, "Nah, we can get it for this amount." I'm like always budgeting, so I'm always thinking, if I had more money, what could I have done with it in my marriage, so that there would be just more preparedness and less stress, more preparedness. Like, you know, like not having to pay as much bills, having this paid off, and having like, you know. That's just how I think. So that's one thing before we go into, because people don't talk about how much, in my opinion, finances can be a topic of contention, even in a marriage. And so, like, it really is. Like, and I only speak for me. From me, I put a lot of pressure on. Am I making enough? Am I doing enough on myself? So if I had more, I wish I had more money. I wish I would have just, you know, graduated early or something.
I wish. So that's not mine, but I wish that I would have learned how to communicate more effectively. I think that would have helped reduce a lot of arguments, a lot of issues in our marriage, just learning how to effectively communicate what I need, what I like. You know, you would think because I'm a woman that, I can do this, but no, I wasn't much of a talking about feelings. This is kind of all new. When I became a mother, that's when I started to get a little emotional. I didn't cry. Now I cry all the time. And so just being able to effectively communicate, you know, to your partner, because, you know, where, you know, he understands you, where you're coming from. Like I said, that would just reduce a lot of headache. Yeah,
I think for us, or at least for me, I would have liked to have had my own place before we got married, to be able to live on my own. So like, just to kind of give you a quick summary, I graduated college and went back home with my parents. They allowed me to be able to stay there, pay a few bills here and there, something like that, just so I can be able to stack my bread. And thankfully, I was able to get a job right after I graduated in in what I got my degree in, right? So thank God for that. As I was saving, finally got into a position where I can get my own. And then, Renee comes on the scene. I'm just like, well, it don't really make sense to get my own place right now, because now I got to consider somebody else in the picture, right? What if that's a place that's not feasible for the both of us? So now we literally waited up until we got the keys.
The day before we got married.
We got the keys to our apartment the day before we got married and moved in the day after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But with that in mind, even though I had somewhat of my own space while I was in college, with staying with some of my frat brothers or, a situation like that, I never had my own. So I wish I had the opportunity to be able to look at a space and be like, you know what, this is mine. I'm gonna deck it out the way I feel like decking it out, and can't nobody say nothing about it because it's mine. So yeah.
I don't think I like you no more, mate. I don't think I like you. The fact that you got to go back home and like after and then work your job and save up your own money, I think I feel some kind of way, Mike. Like I really do, bro. Like you got to go back home. I had to get in actually I didn't have to get up, but that was my choice.
I would say that
was my choice. Never mind. I'm on.
Feeling sounds like
Mike. I wanted to be grown. But I'm agreeing, Mike. I actually, instead of roommates, I actually do wish I had lived on my own at least for a year too. So I feel you on that, Mike. No offense, John, because John, you were a decent roommate. You were pretty good. No offense. Yeah.
You had a great outcome.
You were pretty good. And I got some nice stuff by living with you.
You stole half my closet. How dare you? I'm sorry. I was walking around the house. I was like, "Is that my Armani Exchange hat he has on right now?" He's like, "Hey, John, what are you doing?"
In the back. Oh yeah, you like this?
Yeah, you like my new hat, John? Bruh, that's mine. Anyway, he done stretched it out. Can't use it no more. Renee, you go ahead.
I actually can't think of anything I would have wanted to do differently. I graduated from college, went back to my mom's house and got an internship at the job I'm still working at now. And then we got married, and it's not even that I wanted to like undo relationships. I've had some experiences with some not so great people, but I think it helped me to learn certain things about myself and certain things about what to expect from my husband. So though they were trash experiences, not all of them, but it was beneficial. And then I don't know, part of me was just like, I left like calling my dad when I needed something, to now like, okay, Mike, we need to do this, this, and this. And sometimes I still want to call my daddy like, Daddy, I feel this way. But it's like, okay, I now have to call.
That's a good topic right there.
Well, I have learned. We'll talk about that another day. But
another day, we're gonna go back to that.
But it's not. I'll clarify that it's not an issue in our marriage.
Yeah.
We have had conversations about it, just like expectation setting. But it's not an issue in our marriage. My dad checks on us because he cares and he wants Mike to be good to his baby girl. But
That's right.
My dad always says, "That's my man. I like Mike." So we're good.
Hey, what's funny story. So the whole, calling her dad type thing, or like mentioning her dad, like helping us out with something. We have a ceiling fan in our in our bedroom. And I was just like reading the instructions and stuff. I'm looking, I'm like, I can figure this out. All right, I got this. And she studied like, you know what? Maybe we should call somebody. So I'm like, no, electricity. Yeah, I can figure this out. We got this. But eventually, she wore me down and was like, you need to call my dad. I think he would be best for this job.
See, the thing is, I work at a hospital, but I'm not a doctor. So if you get electrocuted, what I'm supposed to do? Like, nah, I know my dad knows how to do certain things. So I'm going to call my daddy and y'all going to work on that together so you can learn. And then I don't have to call him next time. So, but yeah, I don't think I would have done anything differently.
She knows.
That and the thought of being electrocuted is not fun. I've been shocked before. So it's like,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, let's not go through that again. So,
anyway. Anything you got for something you wish you would have did? No, nothing? I actually wish I would have made more different moves, I guess. I probably wish I didn't like I played for churches and stuff like that, you know what I mean, as y'all know that. But I wish I did more stuff in my job world and like traveled and kind of met more people and all that other stuff before I got married. I feel like obviously now I still am able to move, and y'all know I'm able to move because I play for bands and stuff like that, and still can move when I want to because my wife is super supportive of that. But it's still not the same, right? Because you got 2 kids, you know what I mean? And when I move now, I gotta probably move with everybody. But like I said, my wife's still supportive, but I wish I could have did more traveling, more moving, meet more people. The way my personality works, I like to be on the go, on the move, on the run, like keep going, meet as many people as I can, talk to as many people as I can. That's just my personality. But until I get home, then I don't want to talk to nobody, including my wife. So that's like, I like to go out in the world and talk to everybody. And when I get home, I want quiet. I want peace and quiet. Don't nobody talk to me. But that's something I think I wish I would have done more of. But other than that, I mean, legit, I feel like it was the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? You kind of met your little spouse in college, which is, I think the other part of it is like, I mean, we don't know the answer to this, but how hard it is probably to meet a spouse if you haven't met them by college or by the time, or in college or by the time you graduated, like how hard it might be to do that. I don't.
I'm just glad I met my wife when I did, because this dating game is crazy from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know nothing about it myself, but from what I've heard in the streets, it's they out here killing people out here. I mean, it's not good. So,
and it's no time limit. Like I gotta say, it's no like. Like I got friends who people say when you're just saying it to be nice. No, we legit have a friend who got married when she was 38, 39, like 40. Like a couple friends who there's no time limit. Then I got friends, we know this, we got friends who were married when they were 23. They were divorced when they were 25. Then they got married again and they were 26. And then they got divorced again when they were 30. It's literally like, there's no, the only pressure I understand from time limit is deals with me that I'm now understanding is when a woman wants to conceive. I understand that pressure. So I'm a little bit more, I didn't used to be more like understanding of that, of why women were in a rush, but now I get it because I get that there's health risk. I get all of that now. And so I kind of like dialed back my judgment when I was like, why are you rushing? Okay, I get it because you there's something you want to accomplish and you want to have this. And I get that. But like I said, I get my friend, our family friend, she's 38, 39. She's just having her first child. Yeah, it was difficult. It may not be the way I'm pretty sure everything that was supposed to happen, it happened exactly how it was supposed to happen. And right. God worked it out the way it was supposed to work out for her. She's not with those miserable people she was supposed to be with for whatever reason it is. So like, I just I want everybody honestly, especially if it's easy for us. I don't comment too much. I'm trying not to, who are married, to comment on the single stuff. But seriously, it will happen. It will happen. It may not feel like that, but it's going to happen. Everybody is not the same. Everybody's gonna have that same click story. It just that, and it's just the way the media in the world makes you think that everyone has that story. And I hate that. Everybody does not have meet somebody in college, married by 29, this and this by this age, and it's too much pressure. And I'm like, I wish we would get way too much. I wish we would stop all of that. Stop preaching these false narratives of the biggest idea is, what are you doing to work on yourself for when you get there? What are you doing to work on yourself so what you are when you get there to get ready? Because John, Mike, we always say, even when we got married, I was not ready. I was not ready. I was the worst possible period. And when I had a kid, I was not ready. I was absolutely, you're not ready. So as much as you think that you are, you really aren't. You're not ready. So
you still have much to learn, even
yeah.
after.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that. I feel like we all were trash husbands when we first got married, and then probably to some degree, some trash left. Right? There's a little bit of trash left in there.
Just a smidge.
But you know, at the end of the day,
I don't think you're trash.
At the end of the day, as long as we color, we're all gonna be okay. All right.
I said. Some coloring is going on. I'm good. Like,
yeah, as long as coloring's happening, who cares about how trash we are? Anyway, guys, we had a takeover with our wives. We have the Relentlessly Real podcast. We had each and every person on this particular live stream brought their spouse on here. So I want to give a big ups to Tanisha, to Jovita, my beautiful wife, and to Renee for hopping on this podcast and talking with us from their womanly perspective. You're blessed to have me as your. I'm sorry. Excuse me. You are blessed to have me, but they're all blessed too to have their significant others as well. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us on the podcast today, guys. We did another great live stream.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys felt about it, but people have been going off in the comments. We've had great dialogue with people in the comments section. I think talking about infertility, we talked about some great taboo topics when it comes to that. We talked about losing a child. We talked about the ups and downs of marriage. We talked about so many great things, and I really appreciate everybody taking time out of their busy schedule to hang out with us. Our hearts and minds clear, because I think Renee, but go ahead, Renee, you got it. Go ahead.
You see that comment that say hashtag bring back the wives?
I just seen it too.
Just making sure you ain't missed.
Oh, let me go ahead and delete that real quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me delete this foolishness. I'm just playing. No, for sure. We are going to bring back the wives. Apparently, they tired of hearing us. They're like, look, y'all are trash. Get these wives on the show.
Next episode just featuring them three. We don't
gotta be here.
That's
what it feels like. Y'all just really disrespectful, actually. But look, we appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. You can always follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Relentlessly Real Podcast. Again, that's Relentlessly Real Podcast. We're going to be putting our stuff on iTunes as well, so you guys can go head over to iTunes. We already have a bunch of podcasts over there, but we're going to add this episode and last week's episode as well to that. If you want to submit topics, we are always here and ready to hear whatever topics you want to submit. So you can submit it to relentlesslyrealpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's relentlesslyrealpodcast@gmail.com. We'll receive your topic suggestions, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it. All right? It's that simple. Any other? Yeah, my daughter. See, look, it's time to wrap this thing. My daughter's like, look, I've had enough. I've been quiet.
She's been great. No bonnet this time either. So
no bonnet. Like, actually, I'm about to say she has clothes on today. So here we go.
Bless the Lord.
This is Jocelyn and the other.
Y'all see this?
So you got a bonnet.
We didn't even talk about this.
Yeah. We got. Okay. So next time, guys. I don't know if it's gonna be next time in 2 weeks, but very, very soon we're gonna have all of our wives come back and talk about how they have their bonnets on and what that means for men in terms of getting the coloring done. Or
that bonnet don't stop nothing. You heard me?
Okay, all right. Listen, guys.
Bring the brightest bonnet I've ever seen in my time. What is going on here?
A bonnet means no coloring. I'm about to get a hashtag shirt that says no coloring.
As for me in my house, we still coloring.
That bonnet keep that hair moisturized before, during, and after the coloring.
In this house, take that bonnet off.
I'm about to say bonnet
on, bonnet off. We still coloring. Don't
bonnet equals bondage. That's what I see. Bonnet equals bondage.
That's right. Kill the bonnet. We're gonna start it, John. Kill the bonnet.
Kill the bonnet. Right. On site, bro. On site. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast today. We love you. God bless you. My name is John. My name is John. This is Jovita and Jocelyn. And then go ahead, Mike.
My name is Mike.
Renee.
My name is Terrence.
And Tanisha.
Thank y'all for listening to the Relentlessly Real Podcast. Peace.